Well, good evening. Hello. How are we? It is Tuesday and it's the 3rd of September 2013. The 3rd of September. Almost Christmas. And then, of course, we'll have the Easter eggs in the shops. I don't know. We have got a bit coming up today. We're going to look at these. So we've got the Aurora from last week and we've got the Magoo. Oh yes, because I've been playing with that and I've got a bit of VT coming up. We've also got Show Us Yours, and I've got a bit of a bit of video news from today that features somebody you might know. But all that has to be after what I call the titles. The scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid. Yes, it's that time of the week again, and I am back in this little box in the warm studio, bringing you this week's edition of Vaper Scene. And we're going to start with some news, and then I've got a bit of VT that came out today on the news that our very own Mr. Jones sent me across about half an hour ago, which is quite good. Yeah, some sad news because David Frost died at the weekend. And many of you will know about what he did in his later years, but you may not know about the Frost Report, and that was the week that was, and the other things that he did, you know, in the 60s, and you know, TW3 as it's known, and the Frost Report springboarded so many of the big comedians like the two Ronnies and John Cleese and many more. I was going to bring you a little bit of video, but it didn't really play all that well when I downloaded it, so I'm not going to bring the video. But yeah, sad loss to the kind of broadcasting and also satire, because he was a big satirist back in the 60s. And also this week, yesterday, David Jacobs died, 87. What an age. Again, famous for Jukebox Jury and many other things, and a late night show on Radio 2, which I happen to catch on occasion. But there you go. So a bit of sadness there. Also, Imperial seem to have been spending a bit of money, or trying to spend a bit of money, because they are into a deal to buy Dragonite. Hon Lick, he's credited with inventing the technology behind the e-cigarette. And Imperial want to spend how much? £48 million. Oh yes, 48 million. Now, do they know something that we don't? Because you'd like to think that a company such as Imperial wouldn't be forking out £48 million unless they knew something was happening. Do they know something we don't? Who knows? Is the TPD going down a pan? Who knows? But if you look at this little news report that came out on ITV News earlier on, it might help, it might not. You may see somebody you know as well. Keep your eyes peeled.
Business is so good at this manufacturer of e-cigarettes in Peterborough, it's had to move to larger premises. The cigs come in all flavours, from champagne to strawberry. Nicotine is inhaled, but there are none of the harmful products linked to tobacco smoking. But are e-cigs a way to quit the real thing, or should they themselves be subject to checks and licensing?
If we want these products to help people reduce their smoking, I think we have to know they're safe, that people know what's in them, and that they work. And I don't think they should be placed on the market like a ballpoint pen's placed on the market.
But other MEPs from the Midlands are opposed to the idea of regulation. saying it will hold back a product that is doing well to help people quit a harmful addiction.
Well, it would prevent a lot of people being able to use this little thing, which you can buy at garages and all sorts of local places. You have to go to your doctor and get a prescription. It's going to stop a lot of people even trying to get off being hooked on cigarettes. So it would be a very bad step.
Derby County Football Club has a sponsorship deal with an e-cigarette firm. The club say they are committed to helping fans who smoke lead healthier lifestyles. While opinions differ about regulation, one thing is clear: e-cigs are selling fast.
Yeah, the market is growing incredibly fast, and that's just down to the consumers realising that it's such a good product. In fact, it's been said that in the next century they could actually outweigh cigarettes.
It's early days for the e-cig. Are they a safe way to kick the habit, or are they used, as some people admit, as an alternative? They smoke these when they're not allowed to smoke tobacco. This pub drinker in Leicester is pleased he can use his e-cig indoors.
They're not like the real cigarette, like, obviously, but you can use them in pubs, like, you know, and I find that a lot better than going out in the winter and that. But I have known that some certain pubs and bars don't allow them.
MEPs will vote on the issue of whether to class e-cigs as a medical product next week. Depending on the outcome, it would have to be approved by ministers. Alison Mackenzie, ITV News.
That man gets everywhere, doesn't he? See Mr. Don there blowing out plumes of smoke. And all power to Derby Football Club. They've taken on sponsorship from an e-cig company, but also, by their very nature, they're going to allow people to vape in their stadium. So maybe Man City should kind of look at Derby and you know, take a leap in the right direction. And if people were able to use their e-cigs when they're playing football, then it'd be even better, wouldn't it? You know, it just goes without saying, doesn't it? It was interesting to see Mrs. McCavan. The analogy with the ballpoint pen, yet again. A ballpoint pen is a ballpoint pen. An e-cig is not a ballpoint pen. Unless, of course, she likes sucking on ballpoint pens. But you won't get any nicotine from that, Linda. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, there you go. Good bit of ET there. And reasonably positive as well. I think you weighed it up quite nicely, that little piece. And we need many, many more of those. And we need some more positiveness when this goes to plenary. Let's hope that the MEPs that are doing the right thing get their way this time and not get, I'm going to choose my words here, not get bent over the desk for the second time. That happened in July. Okay, let's move on. And we're going to look at this. I'm going to move the Aurora out of the way. We're going to look at the Magoo. And I got sent this a couple of weeks ago and I've had a nice little play around with it. And I'm going to show you the VT that I did. And then we'll come back and I'll show you just how much vapor this thing kicks out. So, oh, where are we? There we go. So, get ready for the Magoo. So here we are with the iSmoka Magoo, which, as you know, it's a clone, and it's a clone of the Ithaca. And this is available from UK e-cigs store. It's £38.99, which is not a bad price, is it? There's also another one that I believe Fastech is selling, which is a similar thing. And that's actually labelled up as a clone, I believe, as opposed to having a new name, which in this case is the Magoo. So let's have a little look at what is inside. Now the version I have is a 2.2 ohm. It does apparently come in three, so 1.8, 2.2 and 2.5, and it comes pre-wicked at 2.2 ohms. So we'll put it on a device shortly, and this is what it looks like. It also comes with an instruction manual, which I will show on a slide, which will make it easier to see. And it also comes with a piece of wire and a piece of wicking, so you can make another wick up. And I'll show you where that goes in a minute. So let's take this apart. There's quite a few parts to this device. The first section is the tank, which you unscrew and that comes away. The next section is here, and this is the mouthpiece section, and this is where you can vary the amount of liquid that gets seen by the coil. And as I'm unscrewing this, you can see that this gap is getting larger, and you can make that as large or as small as you like. So that comes off. The next section is this bottom section. We'll take this off. That's that. And then finally, this is the wick assembly. And you just unscrew this. It takes a bit of time because it's quite a long thread. And there we go. And here we have the components in the order that they go together. You've got the bottom section, then you've got the section that the coil assembly fits in, you've got your mouthpiece, and then finally you've got your tank cover. And there's actually one more section, and that is the very top, because this is what you take off in order to fill it full of juice. So those are the component parts. And let's look at the coil assembly first. And here's the coil, and as you can see, I've got it in quite close up. We have 4 strands of wick with the coil in the center. There is a plastic screw here which one side of the coil wire goes into, and then up here there is another side just underneath this piece of silicon here, and that's where the other side goes. So that's your center pin which fits into your device. It's seen by your device, and it is spring loaded. You can see there, spring loaded. And there are a couple of ways that you can recoil this. What we'll do though, we'll look at the recoiling in a separate video once I've been using this for a while, and I managed to burn this one out. So the way it goes together is the coil assembly goes into here, and it goes pin down. Let's take away those little flyaway bits. Pin down into the assembly, keeping the wicks together. Be careful not to cross thread, and you simply get that into shot. Simply screw this until it is just finger tight, which is just about there, almost there, nearly there. Okay, so there we go. So that is now assembled. The bottom section, and this is quite an interesting section as well, screw that into the bottom section, and then what this ring here does is varies the airflow. So the air holes are at the bottom, and you can cover and uncover to get the correct airflow that you want. You then screw in the mouthpiece, and this fits over the coil assembly. And the interesting thing about this is that you can vary the amount of juice seen by the wick. So as you can see, as I'm screwing that down, there's less and less wick showing, and now there's none. So you can have that much showing, or you can have that much showing, and you can do this when it's actually put together. So we'll leave it around about there for now. Next section to go on is the tank, and that goes on. So screw that on, and there we are assembled, apart from here. And this is where this section goes, and it's got a little O-ring on it to stop any leaks. You screw that on, and then we are assembled. and this is the part you take off to put your juice in. And as you can see now, if I hold it in shot, if I turn that way, if I turn the mouthpiece, you can see that the area of wick is becoming larger. And if I screw it that way, you can see it's getting smaller. So you can vary the amount of juice that is seen by the wick. And how good or bad that is, we will see shortly, because we're going to put some juice into it. Let's fill this with some juice, and what I have is some Emporium Vaper Berry J VF13, which I believe stands for Vapefest 13, and this is one of the bottles that I won in the Vapefest raffle, one of the prizes that came in my little bag, and I've been vaping on it for a couple of days, and it's not too bad. So I'm going to put some in the Magoo. So what we do is very simple. We just unscrew this top section and pull it out, and as you can see, it does have an O-ring in there, quite a thick O-ring as well, to prevent any leakage, which is good. So just introduce that into there, and we'll get some juice in. And I'm filling it to the top of the glass, so that is completely full. You could probably fill a little bit more, but for now that's as far as I'm going to go, just for testing purposes. We'll put the top back on, and doesn't appear to be leaking. No juice coming through that center at all, which is good. We'll pop it on the EVIC, and it should tell us that the resistance is 2.2 ohms, which is what it should be. So I'll leave that to soak in a little bit, and we'll go back to the studio and see what it vapes like. And we're back, and I've been vaping on it during that bit of ET, and I'm surprised that you can still see me through the fog that I created. This thing, I say, this thing produces really, really well, and I've just been looking at chat as that was going through. I've had it upside down. I filled it quite full to the top of this section. Well, I've put it on close, Yappy, hold on. I filled it all the way up. If I just take this off, there we go. Right, I filled it all the way up inside here, until it was just above there, and then put the cap on, and still it hasn't leaked. So whether or not it will or not at a later date, I do not know. But I have to say, I'm loving the thing. It is really, really nice. And I've been altering the airflow with a little ring at the bottom, and altering the amount of juice going through, and I'm liking it. The Vaper in here, because I've got green screen, it doesn't show up too well. But $38.99. Now, I didn't pay for this. I got sent this for free from a UK e-cig store. But for the price, that is damn good. I've got nothing to compare it to with the Ithaca, because I haven't had one and I haven't seen one in my hand. So if you've got one, any of you have got one, you'll know a bit more than I will. But I have to say, I do like it. So that was the Magoo. I'll bring you a kind of a revisit at some point, and I'll do a re-wicking and do the dual coil wicking, because you can do that as well. But have a look on the website and you'll see exactly what it can do. Right, I'm late. Oh, I waffled too early. So we're going to the ads, and then we'll come back and we'll continue with part 2. See you in a minute. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid.
iVaper and iVaper Elixir, based in Yorkshire, for your e-cig needs. That's iVaper.co.uk and iVaper-elixir.co.uk. iVaper and iVaper-elixir.co.uk are proud sponsors of VaporTrails.tv.
Now it's back to Vaper Scene on Vapor Trails TV. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid. And welcome back to part 2, which is getting a bit late. Going to go slightly over, but there you go. I had to put that little bit in from ITV earlier on. So let's go to a kind of revisit on this, which was the Aurora BFT that I showed on last week's show. I was using it last week, and as you can see, I've now got it on an Ego battery. So watch this. It's about 2.5 minutes. Watch this. Good afternoon. If you're watching last week's show, or if you've seen last week's show on Catch Up, you will have seen this, which is the Vision Aurora BFT bottom fed system. And I filled it with some rather nice high voltage juice, which I've refilled again. And I did say that I would have another look at it on my way up to Scotland. I'm going to continue to use it this week on my journey up to Scotland tomorrow. And I might report back further findings, which is what I've been doing. Now, what I've done is put it onto a 900 milliamp Ego battery, which is really what it's designed to go on, and it looks okay, looks fairly good, and it works quite well. As you can see, it gives me plenty of vapour just on an Ego battery. It's still giving the same flavour hit that I've been getting from a larger device like the SID that I had it on. I've almost got the tip in, squeeze in, tip in back okay. Sometimes I do get a little bit too much juice into it and get a bit gurgly, but more often than not, bit of a squeeze, turn it back, and it seems to be working reasonably well. Might have gone a little bit too hard on the juice again. It's getting that balance right. It really is getting that balance right. But I'm still quite enjoying it. It still gets warm, as I did point out last week. That's not going to change. Even using a smaller battery, it's not going to change. But as the device goes, it's not bad. I shall continue using it. I'll probably keep it in the car, to be fair, with the Ego battery, with this juice in. And then I've always got something nice. I might just replace the tip though with just a plastic tip, a cheapo, if I'm going to leave it in the car, because I don't want to lose my Go Dibbly tips. Anyway, that was my little revisit on the Vision Aurora BFT. Let's go back to the studio. Tatty bye. Yes, there you go, the Aurora BFT. And like I said, I'm still quite liking it. Once you get the charging of the bottom sorted out, it's not a bad little device. So I'm going to keep this in the car. I've also got a little Ego charger in the car, which is always good, because I do tend to charge my MVP and my EVIC and stuff on my long journeys with the various chargers that I've got in the car. So it's all good. So that's going to it's going to stay in my glove box. So I've always got something, and that particular juice, because that is a really nice juice. So there you go. Let me show you something. This is going to be coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Yes, the iTaste VTR will be winging its way over to me in the next couple of weeks, and I shall bring it to you as soon as I've got my sticky hands on it and I can do a decent review on it. So I shall bring that soon, and there's more stuff coming over the next couple of months. More hardware and more reviews, of course. So we better move on, because I've got about 2 minutes, but I'm going to go over. So let's look at this week's Show Us Yours gallery. And now it's time for Show Us Yours, sponsored by Flavour Art UK. Show Us Yours, sponsored by Flavour Art UK. Yes, that was this week's Show Us Yours gallery, and the winner this week is this collection of pictures that I've kind of collaged together to make one, and it is from John Warburton. And John tells me in his email that he took these pictures at the Mela Festival in Allahabad, India, last January, and he took his trusted Amiga with him and 300 mils of juice, and the holy men were very interested in giving the Amiga a blast. So there you go, wonderful pictures, really nice and very colourful too. I will be in contact with you after the show, John, and I'll tell you how you get your juice. And if you would like to do the same, send me an email, vaperscene@vaportrials.tv. Get it to me by Tuesday lunchtime, and you'll be in that week's draw, so the same draw of the night. And I'm going to be on holiday in a few weeks, so I'll let you know when that's going to be, and there won't be any Show As Yours during that time, but I shall let you know that. So let me tell you what's coming up for the rest of the week, because I've gone over. Tomorrow, first of all, tonight, it's DE Talk after me at 10:45. If you are not a German speaker, you can always head over to RY4 Radio, listen to Rob Taylor, and if you are a German speaker, hang around and spend some time with the guys in DE Talk. Tomorrow night, Dave Dawn makes his return, oh yes, with VT Talk, and I'm sure he's going to be talking a great deal about what he's been up to over the past few days, as is Sav. And then of course Thursday, it's the Haze Hour. Sunday, Dave is away, Dave Kitson, so it's going to be a team talk. Monday, hopefully Gary's back, will have sorted itself out, and he'll be back with Mark for Tin Your Tip. I'll be here next Tuesday with another edition of Vaper Scene. Until then, looking for the credits. Have a good week. See you soon. Vaper Scene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and e-liquid.